All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Zero Stars podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and I'm here with my friend, your co-host, and fellow Smashing Pumpkins fan, Jesse. How are you, Jesse?
I'm over the moon currently.
Are you? Can you please let our listeners know why you are over the moon currently?
Well, thanks to a little tip from a friend, I was able to get tickets for this random ass Siamese Dream show at Madame Zuzu's that's coming up in what, like 10, 11 days.
It's basically 2 weekends from now. So for our listeners, today is Wednesday. We're recording this on Wednesday, September 6th. And this morning, while I was in the middle of a fire drill at work and going down 25 flights of stairs, I got a little buzz on my phone from Madame Zuzu's that announced this 30th anniversary Siamese Dream event on the weekend of September 17th. Now, we're going to get into all the details kind of bit by bit, but basically, I was in a herd of people going down 25 flights of stairs, frantically texting Jessie that this show was just announced while she was at work. And I knew this because we talked last night and she told me she was working all morning. And I knew that she would probably want to go to this thing. So I sent her the link. And the next thing I knew, I'm pretty sure the only text you sent me was, okay, I just bought 2 tickets.
I think so. It was like such a blur. I was like shaking and yeah, we had a line of God knows how many customers.
Right.
And it was a miracle I even saw the incoming text. Like I just glanced at my phone and saw it and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I didn't even know what was happening. And I turned to Rob and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but something's going on. I think there's a show. And he literally was just like, just go and buy the tickets now and handed me his fucking credit card.
Because again, your husband, I think shout out to your husband because he's a saint.
An enabler.
He's an enabler, but he is exactly the type of partner that any sick Smashing Pumpkins fan needs to have, quite frankly, because he himself enjoys the band as well. And he is a total enabler. And the best part about this today is that it actually almost went in reverse because the last time there was a big Madame Zuzu's drop, it was the Autumn box set. And there was the limited hand numbered or autographed copies. And Jesse had gotten that email before I did. I was literally driving home and I saw the text pop up in my center console of my vehicle. And I literally pulled over to the side of the road to purchase the Autumn box set. And now I was able to return the favor and notify her so that she was able to get one of the, I believe in total, it was under 250 tickets in total over 2 sets. She was able to get 2 of those tickets for her and her husband. So, you know what? I feel like if I can't go, and we'll talk about that later, but I can't make it, unfortunately, I am so glad you're able to make it to this show.
Yes, like I obviously wish that you could be my partner in crime. I'm going to be walking amongst the horde of Siamese Dream zombies.
so, so maybe just to set the stage a little bit, I'm going to read out exactly the way that this was marketed. Okay, so this was in the email and on the Madame Zuzu's website. It says Siamese Dream 30th anniversary. Join the Smashing Pumpkins in celebrating a monumental occasion, the 30th anniversary of their second studio album, Siamese Dream. This groundbreaking record achieved 4 times platinum status, resonating profoundly with music enthusiasts worldwide. Its ascent to number 10 on the Billboard charts began at Tower Records, Chicago, where the band's in-store appearance at midnight on July 27, 1993, drew an estimated 3,000 fans, forcing Chicago police to shut down the street outside. Relive the iconic Towers records moment. Madame Zuzu's in Highland Park, Illinois will be transformed into Tower Records 1993 and celebrate 3 decades of this legendary album. The pop-up experience ends with two acoustic, live, and very intimate performances by the band, recreating the historic set from July 27th, 1993. Now, admittedly, hearing that and even again reading that out loud, this sounds like it's going to be awesome.
So my first question is because I think they played like 8 songs.
Yep. I have the set list. Do you want me to actually read out the set list for you?
Sure.
So the set list, and again, this is a very, very famous set that they had done. Billy was wearing his Superman shirt, long sleeve, and this set has been bootlegged quite a bit and recorded quite a bit, so it's quite well known. The set list was Drown, Snail, Rocket, Cherub Rock, Today, Disarm, Siva, Mayonnaise, Hummer, and I Am One. And when you actually look at that set list, considering that Siamese Dream had not come out yet, a lot of these songs would have been relatively new to people, right? And I'm just trying to imagine, and again, don't laugh at me, but imagine the fact that Siamese Dream was not out into the world yet, and you got to hear Mayonnaise for the first time performed acoustically at Tower Records.
Well, we all know that, for lack of a better term, that the inclusion of Mayonnaise on the set list is gonna get some pussies popping in the fan base. Like, it is over.
It is over. And I don't even have one of those things you just described, and mine will be popping too. So but yeah, so like this sounds pretty iconic to me. And so what they're doing is on that Sunday, they're doing 2 sets, one at 6 p.m. and one at 9 p.m. Did you get the early show or the late show, Jesse?
The late.
The late
My
show?
gut just told me to get the second show. I don't know why I didn't have. I was like, I honestly didn't even know what was happening while I bought the tickets. I didn't even like fully understand what was going on or what I was like purchasing, but I was just like, okay, get the second show. I ended up, I don't know like how long tickets were on sale by the time I got in there, but like the front row was already gone. Most of the second row, we got second row.
Okay.
But I think there were only like 8 rows. Like, it's not a lot.
It's not, I mean, neither of us have been to the new Zuzu since it relocated. We've been to the original Zuzus before. So this is going to be a small, very intimate set. And the tickets were tiered. Front row was the most expensive, and then second row, and then the remaining rows were a little bit less expensive. I think they range from about $350 up to about $500 a ticket. And reading through the Reddit thread about this, the Redditors have a lot of opinions about these ticket prices. Have you read?
I perused the thread, yeah.
Yes. So people
not recent. It was like a couple hours ago, so I don't know what the most up-to-date consensus is, but people were pretty like pissed, I think, about the ticket pricing. But I find personally, I don't think it's super offensive for what's going on.
Right.
And some points were made that it pretty much echoes my own opinion, which if you look at the prices, especially after fees and everything from Ticketmaster for some of the more recent tours, where you could like purchase front row or second row seats, it's not that far off.
And I would say it's even in many ways a better deal. So using myself as an example, and this is in Canadian dollars, just for reference. When I purchased a front row ticket for the Spirits on Fire tour in Vancouver, after taxes and fees, I paid over $1,000 Canadian for that front row ticket. And the tickets that I got for the World is a Vampire show in Toronto, kind of a far back seated ticket around the soundboard, they were about $200 each. So if I were to actually just use those as the basis of comparison, to me these prices are actually very reasonable. It's an intimate performance. You're going to be within the same, small little cafe as the band recreating the set, with another 100 fans as opposed to 15,000. I don't know. I don't know that the pricing is unfair and unreasonable.
I don't think it is personally.
If like my flight, the reason why I can't go, by the way, I was looking up flights. Once you add in my flight and my hotel, taking time off work and all of that, I'd be probably close to 3 grand. And just unfortunately, based on where I live relative to Chicago, and I don't know that I could justify that even for something so special. And the irony is that the ticket price would be the least expensive component of my entire trip. So it sucks to not live so close. Now, how far do you live from Zuzu's, Jesse?
I think it's like a 5.5 hour drive.
That's not awful.
It's not, no.
That's
And
shorter than
Rob and I
the
love doing road trips and stuff. So it's like really not.
layover. Well, your drive would be longer than the layover that I would need to have in Toronto just to get to Chicago. So,
Yikes.
so yeah, unfortunately, but so let's talk about this because like there were about the pricing. There were a lot of people that were talking about it, $1,000 for a pair of tickets, Billy's being, gouging his fans, and that it's not fair. And I think someone said, do you at least get a free meatball sub included in that price? And I look at those comments, and again, I don't understand. Again, this is a premium experience. And I think that if I were to ascribe value to the fact that the autumn box set costs exactly the same as a front row ticket to this set, I don't know. That puts it into perspective for me. Like, I mean, I love my autumn box set in many ways, but if I only had $500 to spend, I'd rather have the front row ticket to this set.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just the economic climate in general, things like this.
Sure.
People aren't prioritizing. I don't know.
And maybe
Which is fine. Like the no criticism on my part, but I think there's just a general sort of maybe not backlash, but
and I think that's where I need to check my privilege a little bit in that, all right, maybe Chris, you should just shut up for a second. You have a job and you should shut up. But so let's talk about this a little bit. So I know you said you didn't really know what you were buying. So as part of
it happened so quickly. It was like our autumn box set purchase whirlwind where
you didn't even know about the space age Mylar bag until well after you already purchased it. But if we were to then read, so there's kind of two components to this anniversary. So obviously celebrating the record release happening at Tower Records. Now, is Tower Records still a thing in the US? Because it's a US chain, so I don't know. Do they still exist?
I don't know if I want to say like not even the big like flagship store in New York is even around anymore. I really don't know, but I know that there's definitely, I mean, like all record stores except for like independent, I feel like have kind of gone extinct here. So,
and that's fair enough. So I just pulled up their Wikipedia page just to understand this. They filed for bankruptcy in 2006, but they launched an online store in 2020 with plans to reopen physical locations in the future. So I guess the brand is re-kickstarting, which is great. But so essentially what this is there's two components. One is this recreation of the set that they played that night acoustically, which is one part of it. And the other part of it is that they're going to have a Tower Records experience where it's going to be a pop-up within Zuzu's. And that's on the Thursday, September 14th to the Sunday. And it says, come celebrate the 30th anniversary of Siamese Dream at Madame Zuzu's. Shop exclusive merchandise, tour merch, vinyl, Tower Records merch, and so much more. An unforgettable experience as we are transformed into Tower Records circa 1993. So it sounds like there's some retro vibe. I don't know. They're going to put up the yellow signs and they're going to have Tower Records tees and dad hats and trucker hats or something. I'm not sure. I'm curious as to what this pop-up is going to be and what they're going to have for sale. I've already advised that I'll send you money to buy stuff and send it to me because Zuzu's is going to charge me an arm and a leg to ship it to me. But yeah, like how do you feel about this kind of recreation of a kind of time capsule from 1993 being brought back in 2023?
To be perfectly honest, kind of ambivalent.
Okay.
Like, that doesn't factor too much into my desire to attend this event,
Okay.
but go off. It's fine.
Yeah. I
It'll
think
be interesting.
yeah, and I think
It's not something I ever like, it's not like one of my wildest dreams come true or anything like that, but
well, you and I can save a future episode to talk about our wildest Billy Corgan dreams come true. But this
that
is
might have to be an adults only.
and to be fair, I don't know that there are any kids that are listening to this.
No, like pretty much no one is, so it's
No,
fine.
it's fine. But I think it's fascinating because, and so I think that we've hit an interesting part in, I'm going to call it the band's life cycle. And what I mean by that is, I think the one thing that I was saying to you and texting you a little bit earlier is this idea that, listen, I love the idea of celebrating 30th, the 30th anniversary of this record. It's a record that means a lot to me. Those songs mean a lot to me. I think it's a record that stands the test of time, and I think celebrating that is a beautiful thing. But we also know that Billy in particular has been very vocal about nostalgia and living in the past and focus as opposed to focusing on the current new music and pushing the envelope forward with all of that. We've seen him talk about it ad nauseum. We saw him really lean into it with Oceania and playing Oceania all the way through and then refusing to play 1979 and all these kind of things. So then to completely flip the script, do the reunion, do the Shiny tour, and then now recreating 1993 in his tea house. It just seems like such a pendulum swing the other way based on where his narrative has been since 2007.
And he's especially disdainful of the fans that are like stuck in the past and like obsessed with Siamese Dream. He
Yes.
fucking hates the fans that love Siamese Dream. Like, so it is kind of a shock. Like,
Yes.
I kind of thought he was gonna allow the Siamese Dream anniversary to go by us with just a whimper and kind of a shitty t-shirt, but
Right.
he decided to pull this out last
And
minute. So
and I think it's a little crazy to me to think about it in that way, right? Because and to be fair, it's not that I think that he's ashamed of his work or that he doesn't want to celebrate his work, but I do understand, and this is something we talked about this most recent tour, where yeah, the audience reactions for some of the newer material was more ambivalent and more lackluster than kind of the classic era. But then to lean so far into the classic era, I just never really thought that would happen. Like I thought the best that we would possibly get was when he was doing those tours and doing like the Siamese suite within the set list or the melancholy suite within the set list. But to completely lean in this way, I never thought this would happen.
well, I think on top of the obvious artistic talent, Billy also has a flair and a mind for business,
Yes.
and he knows what butters his bread,
Yep.
and he's doing what he feels is best for him and the band's legacy. So I would assume that's where this is coming from.
Yeah, and I think that that's true, right? And again, I can't fault him for that. I have a business background. I'm an accountant by profession. I understand that the economics, you have to pay the bills, right? And the reality is, this is a way to honor his legacy and to really lean into his legacy while also selling some, $14 carrot locks and vegan meatball subs, right? So I think it's great.
Review pending on the carrot locks, by the way.
I
Like that shit.
I
I
honestly,
will be trying it.
I am so excited because so I'm a big food fan. I love to cook. I travel to eat at great restaurants. And we visited Zuzu's together. Actually, Jesse and I had a great afternoon at Zuzu's during Ravinia, where we were telling stories and drinking tea and having peanut butter and pickle sandwiches. Kind of in Zuzu's infancy before it fully kind of fleshed out into the menu that they're in today. I'm really excited for you to try the carrot lox and the vegan meatball sub and the vegan crunch wrap, and the $24 cups of tea. But I literally cannot wait to hear what you think about this.
There's a full report pending.
Perfect. um, so let's think. Let's talk through what we can expect in this. So with two sets, basically what I think is going to happen is that the pop-up is closing at 3:00 and the first set is at 6. So I'm assuming they're probably going to let people in at 5:30. You're going to get seated. The set's going to be from 6 to 7. And then you guys may get at most half an hour to kind of roam around the pop-up. I don't know if the band's going to hang out and say hi. I would hope that they would in that kind of environment. And then they're going to kick you out and turn for the second round. So I think it's going to be a solid, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours that you get in there. How do you feel about being in that space with 100 Siamese zombies?
Frightened. Like, honestly, immediate concerns. Immediate concerns. Like, I knew what I was in for. This is not like the casual fan. I know what caliber, shall we say, what style of fan I'm going to be surrounded by. And I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope for the best.
Right. I think that's fair. And I think that you're right in that any fan that is going to be spending, any person that is going to be spending this kind of money to attend this type of performance is a very, and I don't like the term hardcore fan, but not, it would not be a casual fan that would just drop $500 to show up to this thing. So
I would say it's going to be a hardcore fans. I would use that term because just how fast it sold, just knowing immediately that it's on sale. It all happened so quickly with no fanfare and no forethought. It just was dropped on us. If you get that message, make the snap decision to drop that kind of money without thinking about it. Yeah. We know who I'm going to be dealing with.
Right. And I think it's also, especially given the short time frame, for the average person who doesn't necessarily, to your point, have the financial flexibility and doesn't have the geographical proximity to Highland Park, where you're going to have to make a flight or drive kind of an exorbitant kind of distance in order to get there. It does tailor to a very specific crowd. And no shade to those people, but fuck, if I lived closer to Chicago, I would have been there, right? So it's unfortunate. But yeah, so I think it'll be very interesting. But I think the good news, and it's also really fascinating because I was thinking about timing of this announcement and the timing of a recent Instagram story that Billy posted. You're going to have to fill in the details on this, Jesse, because you were at this show and I wasn't. But Billy recently returned to the scene of the crime to a venue in Kentucky that I'm going to let you tell the story, but you told me it wasn't a great experience. And Billy posted a selfie outside the theater and said that that show basically made him never want to play an acoustic show ever again. And then 3 days later, we're getting this announced. So it's like, But yeah, retell that story to our listeners.
It was for the Cotillions tour, and the scene of the crime was the Madison Theater in Covington, Kentucky, which I was at that ill-fated show. And I believe he went to kind of revisit that old haunt because that Covington is very close to Cincinnati.
I
where
see.
they were playing a show. But something possessed him to swing by and kind of like re-traumatize himself, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, that show was like plagued with like drunk hecklers. I think there were a lot of people that did not understand that it was like a Billy Corgan acoustic solo show for his like recent Americana solo album, not
Right.
like the Smashing Pumpkins hits.
Right.
And they were, like screaming shit at him from like the Simpsons episode. And, Billy started to kind of like taunt the person back, but it went on. The venue just like let it go on and on and on, and fans were yelling at like these people. It was just crazy. Like I was shell shocked. I was like scared that he was going to walk off because it was so bad.
And
And I just felt horrible for him. It was awful. I thought he handled it really well because like the majority of like we waited outside with like other hardcore fans in the cold for like hours and hours to get in the front of this concert, and the majority of the audience were supportive and were like yelling at the hecklers to get the fuck out. So I think that like gave Billy the sort of like fuel to just go on and not walk off. But it
and
was bad. It was bad on the venue's part as well.
right. And was it a seated theater show or was it a GA pit?
It was seated.
What?
It
But was
was
it
seat. Well, okay, it was GA. There were seats. There were rows of seats.
okay? But
But
it was
it was
GA seat.
it was GA. So we were
Okay,
lined up to get good seats.
I see. I see.
But yeah, it was like a very chill, like low key atmosphere that like did not match up at all with like the raucous behavior and like harassment that was going on. It was so awkward, and a really small venue as well.
And that's really unfortunate. So I think the good news for this is that as much as he just posted that he was never doing an acoustic show again, here we are. I think this is a very different context. If you're spending this kind of money traveling to Zuzu's, I don't think you're going to heckle him from that short of a distance, because you know that Chloe's going to come and kick you out. But I think that it's great that he's doing this.
Airplane mode is not going to stand for that shit.
Airplane mode is definitely not going to stand for that shit at all.
But on that same point, you would think that anybody who would buy tickets for the Billy Corgan Cotillions acoustic show at like some tiny theater would know what they were getting into. But
at the same
yeah,
time,
I do agree though. Like I think that nobody like that is coming to this. So,
and what I'll also say is that it may have just been the thing to do in Covington, Kentucky that night. So
yeah,
it might not have been.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Like,
right.
But
yeah. So the good news for this is that even though I can't be there in person, there is going to be a live stream of the show, or at least one of the sets. So I will be watching from the comfort of my home here in Canada. Hopefully the camera will pan over to the audience and I can wave to you at some point, even though you won't be able to see me. But I'm excited. And even people were like complaining about that, to be like, oh, the live stream's free, but the tickets are $500. F you, Billy. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like at that point, you're just looking for things to complain about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I understand being disappointed if you can't, like, I don't even want to sound like haughty. Like, I understand being disappointed if you can't make it or you can't afford it or for whatever reason, but
yeah,
why be mad about it? Like, why are you mad about it? It's almost like, because like my husband and I own our own business, and it's like people don't understand that. I don't know. Like you said earlier, Billy has bills to pay. Like,
yeah,
it's not a free ride. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not.
And again, the complaint about the stream being free, like that makes no sense.
What was said about that? Like,
so let me find that exact comment, because Um, it says, okay, so this was the exact comment from Reddit. Prices are insane. 1K basically for a pair of ticks. Live stream is free. Fuck you, Billy. Like, what is that? Like, what does that even?
What does
What?
that even
What does
mean?
that even mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, fine. You don't want to pay the 1K in person. You get it for free. Shut up. Right? Like, how many every artist is looking for a way to monetize these days, right? Whether it's be through Patreon or subscription services or whatever else they can do in order to provide to again pay the bills, right? And and Katie Cole is a great example because she's done live stream shows on this platform called Stage It, where you have to like buy a ticket and then you can tip and all that kind of stuff just to make a little bit of money, right? So
I think they could have easily charged for the live
that's
stream to
exactly
something
my
like
point.
this.
That's exactly my point. They could have charged $10 per person, and I'd still happily pay that, right? I'd happily pay $20 or whatever to watch the live stream, right? So the fact that the stream is free, whoever this person is who's upset about the $1,000 tickets but the free live stream, I just don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But then the final thing that we should talk about, and this is something we briefly touched on via text earlier, is all right, who's going to be present at this show? So I would hope that the lineup would include Billy, James, and Jimmy. I mean, to me, that fundamentally makes sense. But who is going to play the role of bass player? And are the remaining members that are currently and have been part of the band for many years now going to be present? And of course, I'm speaking of Jeff, Jack, and Katie. What are your initial thoughts?
I'm like pretty sure that Jimmy, James, and Billy. I mean, it's billed as a Smashing Pumpkins show, and they used like their tour promotional band shot. Like,
Right.
I don't think Katie has any reason to be there, like, frankly, but who knows?
Well, she did share the announcement on her socials today. So that could just be
It
to
could
support the
just
band.
be, yeah, in support.
Right. So I mean, I don't know if where Jack permanently resides. I know Jeff and James, I believe, are permanently in LA. I think Katie's in Nashville. I'm gonna believe that Jack lives in the UK. I could be wrong, but that's gonna be my belief. And then it's Jimmy and Billy in Chicago. So I'd be really curious as to who they bring on to play bass. Like, and again, it could be, would Jeff possibly play bass? Could it be Katie? Could it be Sierra Swan? I know she's in the Chicago area. She's played bass with the band before. Is Darcy getting a call right now? I don't know. Like, I'd be really curious to figure out exactly who the lineup is going to be.
Well, I think we can safely say that Darcy is not going to have anything to do with it. But
Right. Right. But what would be, do you have a preference? How do you like, would it just be to your point, the band promotional shot was just the four members. So would Jeff play bass maybe, or maybe Billy plays bass as he did back in the day?
to me, as long as Billy's there, I'm good. I would hope. Like, is Jimmy gonna be on the bongos again? Like, I don't know.
I want to.
We'll see.
After we get offline, I'm gonna take an edible and rewatch that recording of that show that night. But yeah, I'd just be really curious as to what's gonna happen. I mean, is Billy gonna bring out his Ovation acoustic again? Is James gonna dye his hair bleach blonde again of the era? So many things to be determined.
Yes, it's TBD, but
yeah. So I mean, it's exciting. I'm really happy for you that you're gonna go. I get to live vicariously through you. Make sure your phone is very well charged because I'm gonna get you to like freaking like video chat me from Zuzu's. I'll Venmo you some cash to buy me some posters. The poster. Oh, I forgot about the poster. So the promotional poster is, I mean, essentially a Hellman's mayonnaise jar, with the label converted to the 666, which is the shirt that Billy wore during the era.
Which, okay, I don't know if you noticed this, but he like recently added 666 to his
He
Instagram
did.
profile, and I was just like,
Yeah.
maybe he's on some satanic bullshit, but it was just foreshadowing.
That mayonnaise poster. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, and I'll be very honest. When I saw the poster, I cackled because it looked like it was done by like a 12-year-old. Um, but I also think that it's hella funny, and I would put that up in my home if I got that poster, is what I'll say. So, oh, you just had a very disgusted look on your face when I said that.
I was like mayonnaise, like that idea of a mayonnaise jar, like being put up in my home, like grosses me out low key. So I just like stopped. I want to see it. I don't think I saw it because
But I will let me I'm gonna screen share it for you so that you can actually see it in person, or not in person, but so that you can actually see it, and I'll get your reaction in real time here. Let's see if I know how to do this. Share screen. Share screen. Share. Do you see it?
yeah. Oh my God, are you fucking joking? Okay, you are not kidding about it looking like it was done on MS Paint.
By a 12-year-old. It's literally a solid navy blue
This satanic Hellman's bottle.
in this, in like the most simple sans serif font, in yellow, that says the Smashing Pumpkins Siamese Dream 30th anniversary show live at Madame Zuzu's, Highland Park, Illinois, September 17th, 2023. And then literally a Hellman's jar with the iconic blue lid. I guess it could be Miracle Whip too. But the label has been replaced with a yellow label that just says 666 on it. So,
Dear God, they are trolling us.
but that's the thing, is that I think it's so funny for that reason, because it has to be a troll. It has to be a troll. And I enjoy a good troll, and I appreciate that, again, he's leaning into this in such a funny way, right? Because as you and I have talked about, for whatever reason, it's all the Siamese zombies saying, play mayonnaise, play mayonnaise, play mayonnaise. And again, mayonnaise is one of my favorite songs of all time. I love the song. I would always take an opportunity to hear it. But it seems to be kind of omnipresent within the fandom nowadays. So for them to actually do this is quite funny.
He is finally shooting a shot. He's been holding this, edging the fandom with this like mayonnaise thing for so long, and it's finally happening. And
Yeah.
I like, we discussed this weirdly. There were so many random like comments just begging them to play mayonnaise all over the Insta account,
Right.
like for this last tour. And I was like, is something going on that I'm unaware of, or are people just this thirsty for mayonnaise in general?
I mean, I am thirsty for mayonnaise, but I've gotten over the fact trying to comment and like, because none of that matters anymore, right? So I don't do
Yeah,
that.
like as if he gives a fuck if you comment, please play mayonnaise on the Instagram account.
Like in my heart, of course, I would love to hear it. I cried when I heard it at the Shiny tour, right? Like it was a emotional moment for me. But yeah, I just think that it's fascinating that there's that many people out there that are asking for it and wanting it, and the response to that is the literal mayonnaise poster made in MS Paint.
Okay, like they're kind of hit and miss with the trolling, but I'll give them that one. It is gross though. Like it does it
Like,
does look a little rough.
are you going to buy one of these posters for yourself?
No.
Okay, so you're gonna have to buy one for me then. We will
Whatever you want to do is fine.
but we'll explore this, because apparently there's going to be posters and merch and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get you to buy me a bunch of crap. And I swear to you, if you are able to secure one of these posters for me, I will hang it up in my kitchen and it'll just be right there. So,
I mean, I support whatever you want to do with that. It just won't be in my home. Like,
home.
yeah, there's like a gross deformed Billy poster in my bedroom from the last store, but the mayonnaise jar with the satanic like mark of the beast is just a little bit too much, but
Is where you draw the line. Okay, well, we have like an 11-day countdown for you. It's coming up. Any final thoughts? Anything else we need to talk about this special event?
I'm just really shocked. Like I told Rob, I was like, I just feel like I was having like post-concert depression. And I was like, I just feel like something's gonna happen at Madame Zuzu's
Mhm.
in the next like few months. Like I was thinking maybe November-ish or something, and I'm like, well, we'll go for that.
Yes.
And I was thinking something more along the lines of like bingo night or like a DJ Ivory Tower set, not something like this. So
Yeah.
for this to just like suddenly happen so soon after the show, it's pretty startling. Like I haven't like fully processed it yet. So
And I think it's going to take some time because, yeah, I think we're going through drop shock right now because, again, we just didn't expect this. And I think the fandom should be excited and the fandom should be, and I don't want to use the word should, but I think that it's appropriate in this context in that I think that as we continue to kind of progress through the life cycle of the band, we are hitting that full circle moment where we are going to start, I don't want to say lean towards nostalgia, but honoring the history and building the legacy is important. And I think that this is something that we as a fandom should be very happy about.
see, I'm nostalgic for the days where Billy just hated us and wanted to like punish us by playing the new album in its entirety
Or
at the
7
shows and like
27-minute versions of Set Controls for the Heart of the Sun.
I live for that shit. Like he
Yeah.
go ahead and punish me, daddy. Like you think you're punishing me, but you're not. So
Like it's like he's actually giving us what we want, and now we're upset about it. What is our problem?
I'm happy about it. Like I am. I just hope that this isn't like the only way for the band in the future.
Mhm.
Like we had discussed sort of like disappointment over like Autumn not really being represented very well in the World is a Vampire tour that came out after this new like rock opera whatever, but I hope there's still room for representation of the new as well.
Right. And I will say, as much as, again, we had done this analysis, right? Like we were looking at set lists of the Machina era tours, where with Machina and Machina 2, they were like half of the set during that time, 40 to 50% of the set were songs from Machina or Machina 2. Whereas on this tour, we were 3 out of 20, right? So, less than 2%, right? So it's quite the is that less than 2%? I can't do math. No, that's not.
I think it's over.
I,
Over, but
I promise
it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
I don't know.
You're an accountant, Chris.
I don't know why I wasn't able to do that in my head. Wow, that. But no, like it was 3 songs out of 20, right? As opposed to about half the set. So, I think that they're striking an interesting balance. It's an interesting choice to only have so little Autumn representation. And I agree. I think finding that balance will be key. I think that there's room for all of it. I know it's exhausting because I know that we're asking a lot of him, right? Because they've essentially been making music and continually working since COVID, right? To have recorded Sear and Autumn and gone on essentially 3 tours since COVID it's a lot of work, right? So there's room for it all, but I'm very happy for this.
I'm just like, is this alleged rock album gonna come out? And then it's like the God is Empty tour 2025 or whatever with like nothing from the new rock album and it's like melancholy singles. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll be there if that's the case and
Yes.
that ends up happening. Like, it's not like I don't give a shit, but I'll go along with whatever and
Right.
I'll complain about it, but I'll still be there and support.
But
But
it's gonna be the loneliness is cleanliness and cleanliness is godliness. Um, but 2025, you and I are gonna hang out at one point. Like as much as I'm disappointed that I can't make this show. Part of the disappointment is that you and I haven't seen each other in person since 2018. So this would have been a great way for us to reconnect our friendship in real life. But if we can't do it here, then that means we have to do it on the Rock Invasion 3 tour or whatever tour is going to come. I don't know. But yeah, so I think maybe to wrap up, really excited, really happy for you and your husband to get to go to this. I can't wait to live vicariously through you. I can't wait to get this stupid poster in my house. It's gonna be great.
My like other big question is, are there going to be any other surprise songs, or is this going to be a faithful recreation of the historic set list? Because it's not a very long set list. And I'm just curious if there's going to be a couple like curveballs thrown, maybe for an encore or.
I mean, it's a 10-song set list, and they're doing 2 sets, one at 6 p.m., one at 9 p.m. So when you consider the turning the crowd once over and then allowing some time for the crowd to do the merch shop and buy the unsold candied vinyl, you might not actually have a whole lot of time. It wouldn't surprise me if there was maybe 1 or 2 surprise songs. But on the way that it's being marketed, it is very clear in the marketing that it says recreating the historic set from July 27th, 1993. So taking that at its absolute face value, you're going to get those songs. But who knows?
Yeah, like I'll definitely take it as a pleasant surprise if there's like 1 or 2 extras thrown in.
Right.
But we shall see. And not that long from now, like I honestly cannot believe what's happened today, but did not expect that when I woke up this morning.
Absolutely not. Again, drop shock, right? Like it just kind of happened out of the blue. And like especially with the World is a Vampire tour, where there was like a 3-4 month lead time from the tour announcement to the tour to our respective shows, right? So there's a lot of anticipation, but this is gonna come quick. So fuck, I'm jealous, man. Like I'm so jealous. I'm quite jealous about it. I'm just glad that of all the people that get to go, you get to go. Like if you like missed out because you didn't get there in time, and some other fan that I don't like as much as I like you got to go and you didn't, I'd be really mad. So
which is all of them, right?
I mean, the reality is you are literally the like one of 2 Smashing Pumpkins fans that I actually speak to. So yeah, you're right.
We're like all alone. I'm like so scared to set out into this event, but
I did mention that if you were there, at least I would be a buffer for you. And I'm like, I am so non-confrontational that I would not be a good buffer for you.
well, hopefully like nothing crazy happens. So, I mean, Rob's gonna be there and he's really ambivalent about everything. So, like, I think it's gonna be he does know how to deal with the fans, that like he knows what to expect.
Right.
This isn't his first rodeo.
Exactly. He's been around the block quite a bit on this journey. And like I said, I need to find me a partner like Rob, is what I'll say. Because this is a sickness, and I don't know that there's a single person that I'm able to share this sickness with other than you at this point. So, all right. So on that note, I think it's probably good for us to wrap up this episode of the Zero Stars podcast. Thank you so much to all of one of you for listening. We really appreciate it. And until next time, my name is Chris, signing off for my friend Jesse. Have a good evening, everyone.